Corsica, an island of rugged beauty, fierce pride and ancient vendettas. This is where Napoleon Bonaparte entered the world in 1769, just a year after France had annexed his homeland. Imagine young Napoleon, a boy with fire in his eyes, gazing out at the Mediterranean, dreaming of glory. His family, minor nobility with more name than wealth, secured him a place at military school in mainland France. He was a solitary, bookish boy, devouring histories of Alexander the Great and Julius Caesar. These tales of conquest resonated with the young Napoleon. He excelled in mathematics and military strategy, his sharp mind a weapon honed for future battles. France at this time was a powder keg of social unrest, teetering on the brink of revolution. Napoleon, ever the opportunist, saw not chaos but a ladder to climb. He devoured Enlightenment texts, absorbing ideas of reason and individual merit. These ideals, however, would soon be tested in the crucible of revolution. The old order was about to crumble, and from its ashes a new kind of leader would emerge. The storming of the Bastille in 1789 sent shockwaves across Europe. This monumental event marked the beginning of a revolution that would reshape the continent and alter the course of history forever. It was the roar of a people demanding liberty, equality, fraternity. The streets of Paris were filled with fervor and hope, as well as fear and uncertainty. Napoleon, now a young artillery officer, observed the chaos with a detached fascination. He was a man of ambition, keenly aware of the opportunities that such tumultuous times could offer. He understood the power of both the sword and the crowd. The ability to command respect and fear was something he would master in the years to come. His military skills, honed through rigorous study, soon marked him for advancement. Napoleon was not just a soldier, he was a scholar of warfare, constantly learning and adapting. In 1793 he received command of the artillery at the siege of Toulon, a crucial port city held by royalist forces. This was his moment to prove his mettle. Napoleon, with characteristic audacity, devised a brilliant plan that routed the enemy and secured the city for the revolutionaries. His tactical genius was on full display. This victory catapulted him to national prominence. The young officer from Corsica was now a celebrated hero, his name on the lips of every revolutionary. He was hailed as a hero of the Republic, a brilliant military mind in a sea of mediocrity. His rise seemed unstoppable, fueled by both his talent and his unyielding ambition. But the revolution, like Saturn, devoured its own children. The Reign of Terror was a period of extreme violence and paranoia. The Reign of Terror saw countless executions, a bloodbath that left France reeling. The ideals of liberty, equality and fraternity seemed distant amidst the chaos and bloodshed. Napoleon, ever pragmatic, navigated these treacherous waters with skill. He was adept at reading the political landscape and knew when to align himself with the right people. He distanced himself from the excesses of the Terror, aligning himself with powerful men like Paul Barras, a leading figure in the new government, the Directory. This strategic alliance would pave the way for his future ascent. France, exhausted by years of turmoil, yearned for stability, for a strong hand to guide them. Napoleon, with his military victories and aura of invincibility, seemed to be the answer to their prayers. In 1799 he seized power in a coup d'état, establishing himself as the first consul. The French people, weary of revolution, largely accepted this change. Napoleon, a master of propaganda, presented himself as the savior of the revolution, the guarantor of its ideals. He consolidated his power, crushing internal dissent and embarking on a series of military campaigns that would rewrite the map of Europe. In 1804, in a ceremony of breathtaking pomp and grandeur, Napoleon crowned himself Emperor of the French. Gone were the ideals of liberty and equality. In their place stood Napoleon, a new emperor for a new age. He had risen from obscurity to become the most powerful man in the world. But power, like a double-edged sword, could cut both ways. The very ambition that had propelled him to such heights would also lead to his downfall. Section 4. Austerlitz and its afterglow, the pinnacle of an empire. The early 19th century was the age of Napoleon. His influence stretched far and wide, reshaping the political landscape of Europe. His armies, the Grande Armée, marched from the shores of the Atlantic to the heart of Russia. They were a formidable force, disciplined and loyal, embodying the spirit of their indomitable leader. Napoleon, a master strategist, won victory after victory, crushing his enemies with a combination of audacity, tactical brilliance, and sheer force of will. His campaigns were meticulously planned, and his ability to adapt to changing circumstances on the battlefield was unparalleled. Austerlitz, fought on a frosty December day in 1805, was his most celebrated triumph. The battle is often referred to as the Battle of the Three Emperors, as it pitted Napoleon against the combined forces of Tsar Alexander I of Russia and Holy Roman Emperor Francis II. Against a numerically superior force of Austrians and Russians, Napoleon's genius shone brightest. His ability to predict and counter the moves of his adversaries was nothing short of extraordinary. He lured his enemies into a trap, then unleashed a devastating attack that shattered their armies and cemented his reputation as the greatest military commander of his age. The victory at Austerlitz not only demonstrated his tactical prowess, but also his psychological acumen in manipulating the battlefield to his advantage. Austerlitz cast a long shadow. It was a defining moment that showcased the zenith of Napoleon's military career. The battle's aftermath saw a significant shift in the balance of power in Europe. It marked the high tide of Napoleon's power, the moment when his empire seemed invincible. His dominance over Europe was unquestioned, and his vision of a unified continent under French hegemony appeared within reach. He redrew the map of Europe, creating new kingdoms and dissolving old ones. His influence extended beyond the battlefield as he sought to reshape the political and social order of the continent. His brothers and marshals were placed on thrones, pawns in his grand strategic game. They were entrusted with the governance of newly formed states, ensuring that his influence permeated every corner of his empire. Yet beneath the surface of triumph, cracks were beginning to appear. The relentless pace of his campaigns and the vastness of his ambitions began to take a toll on his resources and his men. Napoleon's ambition, his insatiable hunger for conquest, would soon lead him down a dangerous path. The seeds of his eventual downfall were sown in the very moments of his greatest triumphs, as the empire he built began to show signs of strain under its own weight. Section 5. The legal legacy, order from chaos, a new Europe. Napoleon's impact extended far beyond the battlefield. His vision was not just of military conquest, but of a new societal order. He sought to bring a sense of unity and coherence to a continent long fractured by feudal divisions and local allegiances. He was a man of prodigious energy and intellect, driven by a desire to reshape not just the map of Europe, but its very fabric. His ambition was to create a legacy that would endure through the ages, a testament to his belief in the power of reason and structured governance. One of his most enduring legacies was the Napoleonic Code, a comprehensive legal system that replaced the patchwork of feudal laws that had governed France for centuries. This code was meticulously crafted to ensure clarity, fairness, and uniformity in the legal process. The code enshrined the principles of equality before the law, religious toleration, and the protection of property rights. It was a revolutionary document that sought to dismantle the old hierarchies and privileges that had long dominated European society. It was a radical departure from the past, a testament to Napoleon's belief in reason and order. The Napoleonic Code was not just a set of laws. It was a vision for a new kind of society, one where merit and justice would prevail over birthright and tradition. The Code's influence spread far beyond France's borders. carried by Napoleon's armies and adopted by many conquered nations. It became a tool of both governance and enlightenment, reshaping the legal landscapes of Europe. It became the foundation of legal systems across Europe and Latin America, a lasting monument to Napoleon's vision of a rational and unified Europe. The principles enshrined in the Napoleonic Code continue to resonate in modern legal systems around the world. But even as he imposed order, Napoleon also sowed the seeds of nationalism. His conquests, while spreading French ideals, also ignited a fierce resistance among those who yearned for self-determination. The very act of imposing a new order awakened a sense of identity and unity among the subjugated peoples. His conquests, while spreading French ideals, also ignited a fierce resistance among those who yearned for self-determination. Local leaders and communities began to rally around their own symbols and traditions, seeking to reclaim their autonomy from the French yoke. The Napoleonic Wars, for all their bloodshed and destruction, also helped to forge a new sense of national identity across Europe. The conflicts and the subsequent reshaping of borders laid the groundwork for the modern nation-states we recognize today, each with its own distinct identity and legal framework.